Okay, Rutgers continues to have success on the recruiting trail. We add some bodies to some needed positions, and I promise we are rant free today. Let's get to it. Rutgers football, Greg Schiano and staff continue to have some success as we land more guys, couple of positions to need. Uh, we add some linebacker to the 2026 class. Over this past weekend, three-star linebacker Justin Edwards committed to Rutgers on Sunday afternoon. He, I believe, is the 20th commit for that class. That'll, that keeps us inside the, top 15, top 10, depending on whose rating services you listen to. Nonetheless, high three-star has an 89 rating on 247, 86.5 rating with on 3. He is the number 43 overall prospect out of talent-rich Florida. And he had a lot of offers. Houston, Kentucky, Miami, Missouri, Ole Miss, Syracuse, Central Florida, Wake Forest, Virginia. He had official visits scheduled for SEC country and ACC country with Kentucky and Miami. However, he decided to cancel those visits, and when you're beating out programs like that, we continue to make inroads on with our recruiting footprint. Linebacker is kind of a position of need, even though we've added some guys. J.J. Edwards, Adam Shaw, Joey Kopech. It's not a developed unit, so this was kind of a position of need to not just recruit bodies, but it needs to get up to snuff. So we're getting better with some depth there. That's a good sign. Defense last year in the run game got gashed a whole lot. As a junior at Edgewater High School, not Edgewater, New Jersey, but Edgewater, Florida, 52 tackles, 15 for loss, 10 sacks. That's big stuff. He's athletic. He can get to the quarterback. He also ran track in high school. He had a 400 meter time of 53.37, which is a little bit above average for a high school track guy. He's 6'2", 205, and I'm looking at Edwards. I'm thinking a little bit about Latrell Noel, who we also recently got a commitment from. He's 6'3", 195, but if he puts he gets maybe gets around 6'4", 225. You can maybe stick him, as an edge, outside linebacker. Watching a little, watched a little video on Latrell Noel, and I expected a tall, rangy defensive back who was going to high point the ball on interceptions as well as receivers. What I was surprised about, he's not afraid to stick his head in there. He looks like he likes contact, so that's a good sign from a DB. And if he does put on some size and some weight, maybe he's somebody you could add to the pass rush down the line. But that's for another day. Quote from Edwards: "What stood out to me was in the team meeting room, he could see, and you hear this a lot about our recruiting process. We talked about how this is important in the era of bag chasing. It's important to build the relationships and feel comfortable." He said how everybody bonded well, especially the staff, and they were all about family. And at their practice, their tempo was great, and everybody was flying to the ball. So that ability to bond and relate translated on the field to playing well together and playing team defense, flying to the ball. And And I did watch some video of him, and he is quick to the ball. He gets after his really quick inside move, and that he's quick at getting to the ball, hunting down the ball. He looks like he has a nose for that. He can also cover outside. He can go sideline to sideline. Closes really well on the quarterback. So, so a lot of good stuff in there. As a high 3, maybe he'll turn into a 4-star, and that will be the thing. Not having enough 4-stars to keep us inside top 10, top 15, top 20. I don't know, what do we have now? 4, and a whole lot of 3-stars, which is good. I mean, stars aren't everything. We're able to build depth now with guys that would probably be starting on a bunch of programs. And that, I think so. I think we have 4 stars, 4 stars, and we are doing well, breaking new ground, expanding our footprint. We got 5 guys out of Pennsylvania. Mike from the Night Report, probably super happy about that. We did get up to number 8, I believe, in 247. But we also got 3 prospects from North Carolina, 3 from Virginia, 3 from Ohio. Ohio now becoming a spot for us, especially Toledo, and we'll get to that in just a second. Let's get to that right now. So we're flipping Toledo. We flipped the second Toledo commit, and we get a commitment from safety Rial Kelly. 6'2", 165-pound safety. He is the 3rd safety of the class, joining Sebastian Cruz and who committed in when was it? 3 months ago, and Chris Hewitt Jr., who committed early in the year. 40th overall player in Ohio and 81st safety nationally, 3-star according to 247. He got offers from Bowling Green, James Madison. Don't sleep on James Madison. They built a pretty good program down there, good defense. Marshall, Temple, UMass, West Virginia, and Vanderbilt. Apparently West Virginia was hot on his trail. And he mentions how Rutgers staff has been recruiting them, and they developed defensive backs. He apparently singled out, and I believe, Scarlet Nation or On the Bank. So maybe the guys at the Night Report were saying how he singled out Robert Longerbeam. He got his official visit, and he got to know the coaches and experience over the weekend and sealed the deal. He said his quote was, "The safeties coach stopped by to see me practice the other day and came back for an in-home visit. It was great. We talked about football and some of his hobbies." And he said the message was that he needs to eat more protein so that he can feel more confident going against bigger competition. And it's the Big Ten. You're going up against the big boys. He's 6'2", 165. I'm 6 foot, 160, and I'm up and doing the low carb thing. I dropped about 36 pounds. Doing low carb, up in the protein, but when you lose fat, you also lose some muscle. So he's going to have to keep the protein levels high, and he's going to have to up the calories a little bit without losing too much of his speed. But Kelly is expected, like Latrell, to contribute on defense and special teams. He apparently would be an asset as a gunner on special teams. So we got a couple guys that are Shiano kind of guys that are versatile, play defense, and get back to playing those kind of special teams that we have in the past. Another kind of area of need that we haven't been real productive with in recruiting is defensive tackle. So we add to the D line with our first defensive tackle of the 2026 class, 3-star Toledo, Ohio product Jermaine Polk has committed to Rutgers. He played high school ball with St. Francis de Sales in Columbus, Ohio, right in Ohio State's backyard. Gotta love that. Expanding the footprint. It's amazing how we went from having to build a wall around Jersey to like, yeah, we'll go into your backyard. And kudos to Rutgers staff and Greg Schiano for actually getting it done. These guys are closing the deal. They're closing the sales. In another life, these guys would have been top producers as salesmen. 6'4", 275. He's a defensive end, but he's going to profile to a defensive tackle in college. As soon as he got the commitment from Rutgers, it came quickly. He apparently Rutgers staff convinced them to join last week's weekend's official visit, and he decided to commit. He built a strong connection with defensive tackle coach Charlie Noonan. And Polk had offers from some good programs, man. I mean, Boston College, who in the past it would have been a get stealing away from them, but now it's just sort of, okay, that's all right. Iowa State, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. It was thought, we weren't in the picture. And we kind of just swooped in, last minute picked them up. Michigan State was hot on his trail. Wisconsin was hot on his trail. Iowa and Iowa State were thought to have had some headway in that, but he canceled his visits to Wisconsin. And in addition to the linebackers we just talked about, J.J. Edwards, Adam Shore, and Joey Kopeck, you got to start to build, we built some depth with the big boys up front on the offensive line. Defensive line needs a little help. And as going into this part of the cycle, it's strange how we continue to have some issues with defensive line depth and injuries. And we had no true defensive tackle commits. And it was kind of a black hole, kind of a sore spot for Rutgers staff. And historically, and I believe that Scarlet Nation on the Banks was talking about how the only defensive tackles of note that we've recruited actually made it to the NFL. Keontae Hamilton recently, and Sebastian Joseph Abday. I mean, he's still playing. That's amazing to me. So defensive tackle, recruiting wise, we've been getting the job done through the transfer portal, not necessarily through recruiting. And Polk, it was thought that Boston College, Iowa were going to out recruit everybody else, but we swooped in there. And although we're getting off to a good start, and our ratings are mostly based on the number of recruits we've gotten out of the gate, we are, I guess 247 still has us at number 8, but that's going to drop back. And but that's okay. We can now have depth, less susceptibility to injury, better quality depth. And I don't want to say developmental guys like they need a lot of work, but these are guys that maybe are just short of starting right away. give him some time and rotate him into the job. Polk had 71 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, had an interception, a pair of blocked field goals, and Greg Schiano will love that. Forced fumble and 2 deflected passes. So another good job on the recruiting trail by Rutgers staff and Greg Schiano. Just a couple tidbits to tie things up. Phil Steele, Brian Fonseca, Rutgers Rent, NewJersey.com, talked about Phil Steele writing a story about how this will be Greg Schiano's best team ever, but still might not show on the field. You think? This is not exactly a revelation. Rutgers, according to Steele, one of 19 teams. Steele placed in the going down category, meaning he believes they will finish equal or worse record than the previous season. According to Fonseca, Steele claims his going down projections have an 88% hit rate over the past 20 years. Well, we'll see. I think he predicted us to be 8-4 last year, and it could have turned out that way. Crazy bounces of the ball and field goals, fake field goals. Nonetheless, Steele points to a schedule. Gee, you think? That's what happens when Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Illinois, and Iowa are on the schedule. You might not do as well as you did the previous year. Steele has us with the 16th hardest schedule compared to last year, which was 61st. His power rating for us, I think he has us somewhere around 44. But nonetheless, yeah, we can, all these recruiting successes and building culture and getting guys in the pipeline, developmental program, getting the guys that we want. These guys want to be here. That's all great, provide stability. But as I've said a million times, you have to execute on the field. And this year will be a little difficult unless somebody unexpectedly, falls back. If, Illinois falls back, Iowa falls back, maybe even who knows? You never know how these things turn out. But I talked about this a couple of videos ago. There was some, if we beat Iowa and Illinois, 8-4 absolutely is doable. But we have to beat our competitors. Iowa's not exactly an offensive juggernaut. Illinois doesn't exactly well coached by Brett Bielema, but they don't exactly scare me. Win those games against your competition. All right, last bit of business. There's chat. It's an article, I guess it was NewJersey.com. Bo Melton, is he the next Travis Hunter? He's been taking reps in the defensive secondary. Packers beset by injuries, and they traded Jair away. Let's talk about him going to the Giants, but that's probably not doable. Travis Hunter, I don't know, was pretty productive on both sides of the ball. A first-round pick on either side. In 22 games, 3 years as a pro, 22 games, he has 24 receptions, 309 yards, just under 13 yards per catch, and a touchdown. But, how cool would that be to have Bo Melton be a two-way player in the NFL? Not exactly Deion Sanders, but nonetheless, that's pretty good stuff. Hope it works out well for Bo. There you have it, everybody. We should be getting news soon about an athletic director, or at least who, it's been kind of quiet regarding exact targets, guys that we're going after, a short list of guys that we know that Rutgers is pursuing. Probably going to be a business manager kind of guy, something, a little bit outside the box. I mentioned this in my last video. Leon Rose was in the business agent side of the business before becoming a GM at the Knicks. So I don't necessarily see this as some forward-looking kind of thing. It's just, this is kind of the trend now. Whether or not it's successful with all of the challenges of playing major NCAA athletics in the Northeast and generating revenue is hard for Rutgers. Rutgers doesn't have, and we've talked about this a bunch, the alumni base donation level. And we've talked about the reasons why. It's not because they're bad people. It's just the way that we go about our business politically in New Jersey and the lack of identity associated with Rutgers because of the way it's evolved over the years from a public academic liberal arts college to this state university that's over 50,000 students and has the feel, even if you live on campus in New Brunswick, Rutgers just feels like a commuting school. It's not a place where you go to get away from, it's not Happy Valley. It's not like some of the better college campuses, college experiences across the nation. But, that's something I always thought about, an eminent domain thing I'm not real crazy about, taking people's homes in order to enable the university to pursue a more campus-like setting as opposed to being patchwork. It's here, it's there, it's across the river, it's in the parking lot, it's in the city, an enclosed campus that becomes a kind of city of its own. I always have been thinking about that for decades, and that would be not an easy thing to do, but nonetheless, part of Rutgers' ability to have a crazy alumni base like, Michigan or Notre Dame or some of the other name brand colleges, it's kind of difficult. We have a lack of, identity. And what identity we do have, like New Jersey, it's not necessarily the best national brand, but nonetheless, being a business manager and just being a revenue producer, I guess, kind of helps. But I wouldn't be averse to a number 2 AD in a top program who understands the balance between athletics, academia, being competitive, and installing a process that you need to be successful in the Big Ten and Power 4 level. We've had, I don't know how many lawyers or athletic directors, but we've had some lawyers as ADs. I guess that's a little bit outside the box, but nonetheless, that's it. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Maybe summer is back after a couple of miserable days. We'll see you the next time. Have a great week.